Hello, and welcome to the Great Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb, and this is Noah Ryan, who's my co-host here, who's a stand-up comedian out of Cleveland, Ohio. And so today we're doing a podcast, and something we had sort of tossed around for a while, and something that never gets old in a way, because today we're going to be talking about actors, actresses, those who have gone too soon. Like I said, this could be, actor, actress, director. Or we'll be, flying a little bit by the seat of our pants a little bit. That's how we like to roll. It's just sort of like, we always appreciate, like we did a podcast recently about Robert Duvall, who like worked for like 8 decades, and he died at 91. He had a long career. He did everything he really hoped he wanted to do. Those are, well, fond memories of these actors, but there's these others that we would just, you always, this when you see an actor and then you hear that they passed, or how with, you know, IMDb or whatever, like, you'll be watching some movie you haven't seen in a while. I'm like, oh, I wonder what happened to so and so, and you go look them up and you're like, oh man, he died like 10 years ago. Why?
Yeah.
So we're going to be sort of discussing all these people. We as usual, we haven't discussed at all, like, who we're going to talk about. Like, we don't have any, I don't think a top five or top 10 list makes a lot of sense in this regard. Obviously, there'll be some favorites and some people that we just ran across that we
Kind
like.
of kind of disrespectful to have a top 10.
Top 10 dead people. No, like, yeah, it's one thing if you like have your favorite book or your
Yeah.
favorite actor, that's
Yeah.
okay. But you can't just be like, here's our top 10 of the dead.
Yeah, you were cool, but you didn't die when this guy died. That's
Right. Right. This guy died far worse than you. No, so we're
yeah.
not doing that. We're doing just what do you feel like when when we run across or you hear about someone who's passed away whom could be your age or younger.
Mm. Well, I have a like when I was thinking about this pod, we don't really do an insane amount of in-depth research, but when we picked up this category for this pod, I just Googled like list of actors, and I was just blown away by like how many and how many people I had forgotten that passed away. And I think with any person in life, famous or not, if someone passes away at a young age, there is like a whoa, like what could they have done with the rest of their life?
Right.
Because that like some of these people on this list are either my age or younger, well, at least they were when they passed away, and for them to have achieved whatever they achieved, even to that point, is incredible, and they probably would have acted longer on the back half of their life than they did just in the span that we know of them.
Right.
And so that's wild because we did Robert Duvall, and Duvall's been acting forever, and if he had died at age 28, you're missing, because he died in his what, 90s, so
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
missing
91, 92, something like that.
you're missing 70 years of films.
Yeah.
Like that's wild. If you do like 3 films a year, that's an insane amount of movies, and it's just crazy because some of these people on this list, we missed out on probably 70 to 80 years worth of
Yeah.
whatever craft they were bringing to the table. And it's a shock, it's an awe, and it's a in the case of actors, like most of us don't know them, so it's not a personal sense of sadness, but it's a sadness, maybe a nostalgic sadness. I don't know, because some of these people, either you grew up watching, or they were uh, in pivotal things in different moments of your life that you look back fondly on. Um, and yeah, it's a very interesting thing, and especially like with celebrities, like it's a lot. It's a weird thing to be like, oh, I'm sad about that because you don't know them. But
Right.
movies are so intimate. Like you watch a movie and you feel like, well, you're supposed to. You're supposed to feel connected with what's on the screen and who you're watching, and the best of the best make you feel like you know them, and so then
Right.
you do feel that connection. So it's a very interesting topic, and I'm glad we get to talk about it.
Yeah, and it's and on the flip side, in a way, it's sometimes there'll be some movie or film or whatever movie or TV show I should say that I'll then look up like, hey, I haven't seen this guy in a while. And yeah, sometimes it is like tragic or whatever. They had pancreatic, whatever. And then sometimes it's like, oh, they're still alive and kicking. They just gave up acting. So it's like, it's interesting because like sometimes we would hope some of these people would have these super long careers like a Duvall, but like maybe that's all they would have done. It's sort of interesting, sort of like, like that parallel universe thing. Like I have James Dean on my list.
Yes,
Yeah, and it's he died at what age? 22, 23, 24, something like that.
24,
Yeah, and he did, was it just 3 or 4 films?
4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So but it could have been that that's all he wanted to do. And then he becomes like a gardener or he becomes like a Sri Lankan priest
or goes into
or
music or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
um
and that is interesting too. Yeah, because you never know. And then also, um, I also have Heath Ledger on my list, and I'm sure we'll get to him. But there's the conversation of do you look back at projects specific people did with a different vantage point because they've passed away? Is there some sort of um, there's with Heath specifically, I don't know about others on my list, but with Heath specifically, after The Dark Knight, there's a lot of discussion. Like obviously that's a great performance, but there's a lot of discussion about how much of a silver goggles do we view that performance because he passed away. So that's
or
that's also interesting with certain people. Um, how great, like if they had done 100 projects, would that be as
right. That's why
revered?
I think about, and maybe we'll start with Heath because it was just like,
Sure. Yeah.
but like okay, obviously his Joker in the Dark Knight is fantastic or whatever. We'll talk even a little more about that in a second. But I'm thinking like you're right. Like if if he had done, maybe he did 20 years more film because I think he was probably like in his mid 30s or eight late something like that. He looked about like that. So maybe he
Heath
did
Heath was 28.
28. Okay, so maybe he did maybe 30 more years of film. But maybe none of them were super remarkable because before that yes, he had done some that were notable, but he also did some ones that I thought were like meh. He was just kind of bouncing from film to film, and then he really fell into some of these films and really was able to show this amazing range. But yeah, it's sort of like I think of like a guy like a John Rhys Davies, who has several of the most iconic like characters in all of film, and he's still alive and kicking and doing stuff. Like he just had a birthday a few days ago, so happy birthday, John. Um, but like when you have him as Sala in like the Indiana Jones movies, you know, you know, don't eat the grapes, and like, I said no camel, this is 7 camels or whatever.
Wasps, very dangerous. You go first.
You go first. It's just like, so like not just one movie. He was in like, and then, him as both Treebeard and Gimli, that only counts as one, all that. Like, but he's like so prolific. He's done like over 100 films, and so he will be, he's celebrated now. He'll be celebrated whenever he chooses to pass on to the next realm. But like me, we don't know if some of these actors or actresses, but just like they have two, three, four, five hits, and then they have a whole bunch of they just love the game.
Yeah.
And you know, what did you think about Heath's earlier career prior to The Dark Knight?
Um, I think he was just he was a guy that you could get that was a solid lead, but that wouldn't draw away from your story. It wasn't uh it wasn't distracting. Like he was just a good looking dude and he was a good actor. Like a Disney movie 10 Things I Hate About You. Uh
He looked like I know he's Australian, but he looked a little like a either an Australian or a California kid with kind of curly hair that like you
yeah.
could like it kind of reminded me like or maybe this is a comp. I don't know. Could he have been had a similar career to like a McConaughey?
I was gonna say very similar to McConaughey, very
Like
McConaughey
underrated and
esque.
undervalued, and then all of a sudden he hits a few out of the park. You're like, wait a second, this guy's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's very comparable. Um but yeah, he had a very and even in the Dark Knight, uh, he had a very interesting style of kind of a quietness on screen. He wasn't overly loud. A lot of his acting was like physical, like in the face, and that's really shown in the Dark Knight with the Joker. Obviously, the voice is iconic, but like the way he would like move the mouth and twitch the face and just like
And
just
some of his lines he delivered almost like in a barely audible muttering. And if you hear it,
yes,
then it's sort it like maybe. And we have to give credit to whoever wrote it because I don't off the top of my head remember who wrote it, but he delivered the lines on his and then he's had his own take on it so well with those so like mumbling tiny little lines, and then he of course he had the larger stuff. But you're right, he had a lot of moments of very subtle acting in that also.
yeah, and I think that was him throughout. Even though it was short, his whole career, as um a lot of his movies were not him like running around yelling. Like he wasn't like an action star. I mean, it was period pieces. It was weird fantasy dramas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
one of the first films I saw him in, and okay, I hadn't seen him up whatever else he was doing, I don't know, but I saw it, and, and the first time I saw it, I was like, "Whoa, this kid is he has a thing. He has a something's there." And that was a film called The Four Feathers, um,
yes.
which is about him with three other friends in like the 1870s or so in England, and they go they joined some of them joined the military. I think it might have been with Kate Hudson and Wes. But the friends they go to North Africa to fight in a war,
Okay.
and it's about friendship and whatever. And I first time I saw it and I was like, man, this kid's really good. It was a period piece also, but it was to me that was the first time I saw him and I was like,
Yeah,
there's something there.
Kate Hudson, and Wes Bentley.
Wes Bentley, that's it. That's it. I think it might have had a young
James
Jamon Hunsu.
Cosmo's in it.
Wasn't Jamon Hunsu in that as a young guy?
He is, yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a I should rewatch it. I just picked it up recently again. Um yeah, so Heath Ledger I think is sort of the I want to say is the modern I think that shook more people his passing shook people the way a James Dean passing hit, you
Yeah.
know, 70 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah. Very much so. And it's with James Dean very similar in you look at the film and James Dean even more so. He had four and you're like this guy could be considered the greatest actor of all time, but it's like he's only got four films. You can't even get
I
no.
couldn't remember that, but
But
yeah.
there's that argument because in those four films, he gives some of the greatest performances and some of like the most iconic. And so it's interesting too, like with James Dean, a small sample size, like you can't necessarily give him that because there's only four films. But it's
Right.
like that's wild that people would even because I don't make that argument, but I've heard that argument, and it's crazy that even with such a small sample size that that he's on people's lists. And same with Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger obviously got was blessed to do more films than James Dean. But same thing. I've heard people have Heath Ledger on their list of their favorite actors of all time, and that's pretty crazy that one performance or two performances can really alter the trajectory of how people view you, even in such a small span.
Well, and it's like, yeah, and it's because we talk obviously we talk about a lot of different, but like it's sort of like if didn't something had happened to De Niro in 1998, then we would, because some people consider him one of the greats of all time. I think based on his whole filmography, I think the more he has done, the more he has kind of lost a little bit of that because he did have like a whole bunch in a row where you're like, oh, this guy. And then again, if he had like knocked like there's, but I think when we look at it, a lot of these actors, you get like like an 8-year run or a 12-year, 15, and then we look at those that like I would say they're sort of different because if you're an action oriented like individual, you're of a shorter shelf life. Same with comedians. Sometimes the world of comedy changes and your comedy doesn't. And so, I think like the some of the jokes there like that were guys were popular for in like 1987 and it worked until about 94 or 95 and by about 2000 though jokes and the persona didn't really work anymore. And so, yeah, so I think so some of these it makes you wonder. It's like, okay, maybe that was part of their 8-year run or, whatever it was.
Sure. Yeah. It's very interesting. Another guy who I'm not necessarily going in order of age, but another guy who died incredibly young, 27 years old, uh, Anton Yelchin.
Yeah, from the Star Trek movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw him on there because I've seen several movies that he popped up in, and I was like, "Oh, that's the Star Trek guy."
Right, right. Yeah.
And then when I found out he passed away, I was like, "No," because
And
like
what and,
he
and what a terrible way to go. It was like a car that was parked or something. The parking brake or whatever happened, it wasn't like someone hit him. A car just rolled into him and crushed him. Like he just slowly aspirated or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, what a terrible
terrible
like
way.
they couldn't move the car off him and then he just died and the poor kid. He's a kid.
Yeah, yeah, younger than me. It was
Yeah.
crazy. And one of my favorite movies I saw. When I worked at a movie theater for almost a decade, and I would get free movies, and I would go and see almost every movie playing. Every week I would go and I'd do triple headers. Sometimes you would come with me on those.
Yeah,
And
that was great.
um, every once in a while I would watch the most random movie because I just could. And I watched this movie called The Green Room. And uh, it has Anton Yelchin, and I think there's a couple other young stars in that movie, but the main bad guy is Patrick Stewart.
Oh, okay.
And the movie is about a punk band who takes a gig, and they go out to do the gig, and they realize that they are farther and farther into the middle of nowhere, and their gig is at a bar in the middle of the woods that is run by a band of neo-Nazis.
No, geez.
And the neo-Nazis are captained by Patrick Stewart, who's like an ex-Nazi, like whatever.
Right.
And so then they're like, all right, well, we gotta leave. And they were like, no, we hired you. You gotta play the gig. And they locked the compound down. And the movie is them trying to get out. And Patrick Stewart is menacing, and the lighting is really grunge and really eerie, and the music is all punk rock and like very like anxiety inducing. Highly recommend. It's a very artistic film, and it's not for everybody. Just the subject matter alone is not going to be for all kinds of people, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I watched him in that, and I was like, oh, I really can't wait to see what he does, because he was given even more range than Star Trek, and in Star Trek he was great.
Yeah, he's great.
And
Yeah.
and I mean, that whole series is great, and we'll probably talk about that at length in another pod. But yeah, just sad to see, um, and like because he wasn't necessarily your lead actor. He's more of your more of a character actor, or like a the side guy that you're like, ah, that guy, and who knows, maybe he gets more lead work or whatever. But 27, and just a horrible way to go. I had to
Yeah.
bring him up because I thought his death was really sad for the the world.
Yeah. Yeah, he was, yeah, I didn't know his work too well, but he was, yeah, anytime you have like you have a kid who is on the up and swing, and that, and again, I think what strikes all of us, like you had said earlier, was we don't know what like we don't, even with our own lives, we don't necessarily know what is going to become. And so I think it's positive to think positive about what could be in your own life and other people's lives. And so when you see like a young kid, a lot of us, if you really like, if you love movies and you think about it a little bit, a lot of people get their start, but they don't really get the roles they really want to get. And so they have to, have a couple roles. It doesn't necessarily mean they can't be an amazing actor. It just means that no one's gave them that role yet. Like not everyone gets to start out making, Rebel Without a Cause, or whatever the Streetcar Car Named Desire, or what. Some people will luck out on a great role to start with, and so their run starts early. Like a
But
Johnny,
I mean,
like. Hmm? I was gonna
the
say like
the
that, like a Johnny Depp. Like, yeah, he had some success on TV, of course, but he got cast in a Platoon, and then he got cast in like the one with the DiCaprio, where he plays the slow person, and like, so it's like, but he got that right away, so he got to really get his chops going. Where some people, they have to be in dumb teen movies and all this, Disney stuff, and like they don't get to really do stuff until their mid 20s, early 30s.
Oh, and the last thing I was going to mention about Anton is uh he really was finding his stride in the animated world because he was the lead character in Guillermo del Toro's Troll Hunters.
Oh, okay.
And that animated show was awesome. I think it got maybe 4 seasons. They did like a sequel show, and they had to like, I don't know, remember if they recast him or if they wrote his character off, but he was like the main guy, and so it was also very sad that they couldn't like do more with that.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh. Who else you?
Let's see, who else do I have? Going a little bit older up the age bracket. I have two that won't spend. One that I won't spend too much time on because he'll probably get his own pod, but I wanted to throw his name out there. And then one that I thought of after thinking of the first guy, but the first one is Chris Farley.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, I'm sure we'll talk about him at length on another pod, but uh, just he's 33 years old, just nuts. Um, his brothers are still alive. They do stand up, they do writing, acting, whatever. But just such a loss. Just the we talked about we did a whole John Candy pod, and um so definitely go check that out. But same kind of like larger than life energy, physical acting, physical comedy, just makes you just laugh till your stomach hurts, and um uh just didn't was 33, like did not get who knows what would have happened because he was supposed, I mean, right before he died, and he was the voice of Shrek. He was supposed to be Shrek. They wrote the Shrek movie for him. He did all the dialogue, and then he died, and then Mike Myers stepped in and wrote it, but or not wrote it, but did it. But yeah, just sad. He did so many crazy uh comedy movies in the 90s. I mean, Tommy Boy is just iconic. Richard, is this your code? Richard, fat guy in a little coat. Like, just, oh man, it's just, just great. I just SNL people. There's a lot of them that live a very long time, and then there's a lot that maybe live the comedy life and hit the drugs maybe a little too hard, or have something
Yeah.
that something that's really sad happen to them. But the other person, unless you have something to say on Farley,
No, go ahead.
yeah, the other person I wanted to bring up is Gilda Radner, staying with SNL. She died at 42. Um, Married to the great Gene Wilder for her the end of her life there. Um, One of the heart and souls of the OG SNL casts.
What
Just
did she die of?
I cancer, I believe.
Oh, okay. No, you don't have to look it up. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of cancer. Yeah. Um, but she just like there there's when you think of women in comedy, there's quite a few names that come up, but Gilda Radner is definitely one of the tops as far as just her physical and I would have paid good money to just see her and uh Gene Wilder just in a room, just making each other laugh. Like the
Yeah.
two of them bouncing off and for like just nuts. But yeah, two SNL people I had to bring up because comedy is also there's a lot of unfortunately there's a lot of comedic actors that end up passing too soon.
Yeah, and it's we can't really do sort of a podcast talking about this without talking about like the um the dangers of like the drug lifestyle and it's victims because it's all fun and games until and this is sort of pre all the fentanyl and all the garbage that's in today's dangerous needles and such, but like it's a lot of the people we're going to talk about, yeah, there's sometimes it's a car accident or something, but like a lot of times it's sort of self-induced. I mean, you can make arguments. I get it that like I'm not here to like we're not doing a judgy podcast or anything, but like it's um it's kind of sad because it's yeah, even if you're going through a dark time, it's sometimes you're encouraged, or sometimes you don't know a way out, or sometimes that's just the lifestyle you've been leading, or you've just been partying so hard you didn't really realize there's consequences. You always woke up the next morning and
Yeah.
then you didn't, and I think that's a um like we talked a little bit about Heath Ledger and he seemed to have things going really, really well for him. Like I don't like we're not trying in this pod, I don't think, to um sort of diagnose like all their issues and all that kind of stuff. Because now if we were to just do a pod about one person, maybe we might delve into a little bit. But for all intents and purposes, he had a lot of things going right in his life, and he had young kid or kids, one of plural, I don't sure, but a lot of pictures with them, and he had the success of everything. He mixed the wrong things or took too much of something or fell asleep while X, Y, and Z. Like I'm not a tabloidy person, so I don't usually care a ton about what killed him. I just know that it probably didn't have to happen.
Yeah.
And Chris Farley and Gilda, not Gilda so much, I'm sorry, but Farley certainly
Yes.
he took it too far. The same with I might as well bring up Belushi then.
Yeah.
I don't even have him
Although
on the list, but
although interesting, um, I guess someone wrote a book about John Belushi's death, and uh, um, uh, Bill Murray read it and was very incensed and doesn't like the narrative that John
I heard about
Belushi
this. Yeah,
died of an overdose. So that's very interesting because he says that John was a lightweight and he like never did drugs, and he said that like if he did, it was probably his first time ever doing drugs, which is just crazy. And that's even more the reason why, like, I personally, like, as a comic, I know so many comics who do drugs, and I am never gonna do that because so many of my heroes either made continual mistakes or made one mistake, and that's all it takes.
it really is.
And
Yeah.
and it's so sad that whether on purpose or not on purpose, that stuff claims so many
Yeah,
lives.
and it's even like like we said, we're not doing any big judgy thing here. We think about like not even. I mean, yeah, he was in one of the best films of all time, The Postman, Tom Petty, whom I like. For the audience that doesn't know me, I love disaster films and post-apocalyptic films, and so I can love a film that is not a perfect film. So that's sort of like, as we all have movies and genres that we like. We'll put up with some stuff. But no, Tom Petty was in the film, and obviously he was, he that wasn't his gig. He was this, amazing singer, songwriter. And then as it turned out, so seemingly there was some amount of fentanyl and something he had taken. And um it didn't seem like he was a guy like he was if he was gonna like tap out, he would have tapped out in like the 80s,
Yeah,
and probably his heyday. His heyday was sort of the late 70s to like mid 90s. And but he didn't. He like kept touring and kept doing stuff, and he was
yeah.
well known and recording. And then like Prince, it seemed like kind of the same thing. Like something else was involved, mixed in with whatever. And like you said, it just takes one sort of slip up. I've told anyone younger than me, nephews, nieces, friends, whatever, that like just keep away from powders and pills and needles. And it's like you just even in the 80s you could something bad can happen to you. And as
Yeah.
the time has gone on, like I was actually talking to my mom a couple days ago about we're talking about fentanyl and Narcan, and that it should be available in certain places or whatever. And I don't disagree, but I also read something a few months ago that the drug producers in wherever they whatever where because a couple places they make it, but like they're making stuff that actually Narcan they're specifically making stuff that Narcan can't affect.
Oh my goodness.
So that's already flowing into the market. Like a lot of people like to take Molly and different things, but a lot of that, it's you can get some of that same whatever, but they lace it with stuff because it's cheaper for them. And if you die, well, that you're a nobody to them. And it's so we get back to the actors and the people that take this stuff, and sometimes it's to sleep, sometimes it's to stay up, for
Yeah.
3 days because they're on a big project, or because everyone goes through depression and they go through different times in their life. You lose a girlfriend, your wife, your kid, things happen. And so they're human. And I think
Yeah.
this is sort of an example of how they are human, but they can make mistakes. And if you mix mistakes with really bad things that could hurt you, I mean, it's like you said, it only takes one, bad, maybe even not even a bad decision, just like
Yeah.
a bad whatever,
And not to make light of that serious statement, but somehow Keith Richards survived.
Right, right. There are a few that were like, wait a second, wait a second. We need like I mean, some people make jokes about some politicians drinking the blood of whatever, but I'm telling you, maybe all of us should get a shot of Keith Richards.
Whatever is in Keith Richards' morning coffee, that's what we all need. That's the secret to
We need like
life.
this is in all seriousness, we really need to know what he eats for breakfast, what is his favorite whiskey, what is the wine that he drinks, what is his sleeping patterns. Like
Yeah.
we need it. Does he go to a certain place in the ocean and bathe? What are the things we need to? This is serious stuff.
What types of women does he hang out with? Like that's
Yeah, yeah,
it. Did his mom love him as a child? Like what
yeah,
is we need that. Yeah.
yeah.
Did you have another actor to bring up? I
Yeah.
know we were talking about drugs. I didn't know if you had another
Yeah, no, I do actually. Because a lot of it's going to be one of about three things. Um, but yeah, Michael K. Williams.
oh,
He's
yes.
he my first exposure to him. I mean, there's okay. So here's what I love is like when you, me, whomever is watching a movie, TV show, whatever, and we see some actor and we're like, this is yes, I love
This
the
guy's
acting,
great.
the
Yeah.
character, whatever it is, and then we're like, what else has he been in? And then you go back and you look and you're like, oh shit, like I've seen those movies. Like wait, he was in this movie? And then you go back,
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, that guy. And so when I watched him in The Wire for the first time, and
Oh,
Omar comes
so
out and he's
good.
like doing his
The whistling, yeah, with the
Is
shotgun.
whistling, and he
Yep.
has, like, there's a shotgun under his trench coat, and, like, out of all the chaos and mayhem and murder, like, he's the guy, the constant that just keeps walking. Everyone else is ducking, and no one wants to go out of houses. He's walking straight down the center of the street, you know? I won't spoil the ending because I still think it's, like, one of those series that there's people haven't seen it. Hugely recommend it. But,
And his
and
character is complex too. It's not just a bad like there's a whole layer to, and then that speaks to the writing, but like his acting
yeah,
for that,
yeah.
like it's not just a role that you could just kind of step into. You need to be that guy to do that.
Yeah, but, like, as soon as you
Um,
see Omar come on screen, you know
oh
it's about to go
yeah.
down. Yeah.
Apparently, Michael wrote a really good book about his life, like a memoir.
Yeah,
My buddy read it. He said it was really good. It's on my list of books to read. Apparently,
yeah.
he wrote a
And
really
he
good
but,
one.
and the thing was uh, in this case, I know he died of an overdose, but I don't necessarily know a lot of the details because he was a character actor, and I don't get into the nitty-gritty of their personal lives because it's not super interesting to me, but he had a long career of doing a lot of different things, like, he was in 12 Years a Slave, and he was fantastic in that, and Django Unchained. He was in, Boardwalk Empire, which is fantastic with Steve Buscemi and a whole, if you could say an ensemble cast, that's one of those shows that was just, highly recommend. It's an HBO show from a number of years back.
I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my list.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, he was, I think he was probably maybe 50-ish, something around there. But yeah, gone too soon for, I would have loved to have seen him in, because I think he would be character actor, and I think he would have popped up a couple more times as very relevant, interesting, like, in a bigger role in something
Yeah,
here and there, because he doesn't fit every single role. So he would have been character, and all of a sudden, boom, he pops up as, like, one of the more kind of leads, and that would have been amazing to see him for the next 20 years. That would have been cool to
for sure,
watch.
for sure. On the subject of HBO, you gotta talk about James Gandolfini briefly.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, of course, we'll do a Sopranos pod at some point.
right,
But James Gandolfini just 51
yeah,
um,
yeah.
died of, I think, a heart attack.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I mean, they could get into the weeds about, like, what the actual thing was, but yeah, he basically did, and we talked about him a little bit on one of the last I can't remember what we were talking about, but, like, it was amazing because that was a 6-year show spanning about 8, 9 years or something. So it was like a 10-year sort of, like, opus,
yeah,
of what he was doing, and he was absolutely a genius at what he did, and he was a method actor, like those. For those that don't know that term, it's sort of like you have the actors that can do their great acting, and then they get off set or off stage, and they go back to normal. They're like so and so, hey, let's go get a beer after work. There are those that are so method. If you're playing, like, some hard, character, you go off set and, like, you can't be around people. You're so deep into that character that people, like, just leave him alone for a while. Like a De Niro is famously like that, and Dustin Hoffman, and a lot of them have said, De Niro's actually, Dustin Hoffman specifically said he's like, people come up to me and they ask me why I don't do these crazy amazing roles anymore, and he's like, look, it took so much out of me, and it was so damaging to my family that, like, after a whole bunch of years, I had to go do not lighter films, but I couldn't get so deep into these characters anymore because,
yeah,
yeah, I was living the characters, but it was also destroying me, and it was just destroying my relationships. And true to form, Gandolfini, he was just so method, and he was so into it. But then, even though he was a couple years removed from Sopranos when he passed away, it just took its toll on his body, and that, at least that's what they say. I mean,
yeah,
we can be speculative, but even people on the set were saying, like, this is running him into the ground, this role.
yeah.
But man, was he so good.
So
Oh,
good, so good. And if you watch, I think the key for me, and like I said, we'll do a whole Sopranos pod, so I won't really get into the Sopranos, but just him as an actor. If you watch interviews with him just as himself, you're like, that's the same guy. Like you see it, and you're like, yeah, that's the same guy. But you're like, huh? Because
Yeah.
like there's a clip. There's a clip. James Gandolfini went on Sesame Street, and
Okay.
there's a clip of him interacting with Elmo, and he's just this soft spoken sweetheart. Like, yeah, Elmo. Like this is like it's like a very like it's such a wild thing because like he still looks like Tony Soprano, and it's probably they probably filmed that around the same time because
Right.
they do that, but so different. Like his off screen persona and like who he was very soft spoken, very gentle. Everything I've heard from other actors is that he was very kind, very just sweet, mild mannered, which is so not what Tony Soprano
No,
ended
no.
up being. And yeah, that had to have taken a toll because you are stepping into a person that is so unlike your normal self. And you do that for years. And
Years. Right. Yeah.
it has to cause stress and strife. And even years after, because he died probably 8 years after the last season,
I
seven
think even
years.
less. I think. Well, either way, it was about five.
But
I think
but
it was about 5, 6 years.
but he's enough removed that it's not like immediate. But that stress clearly, like he clearly had some like still some anxiety or some stress that
Well,
like
what's interesting
would
is, and I learned about this. My dad had a heart attack last year, and I guess I had no like it's weird how you could know a thing, but until someone reminds you of the thing, you forget that you knew it. One of those kind of things. And like I sort of had forgotten that stress can build up plaque in your arteries and can be like you feel like they always say you don't want to be stressed out. Like I get that, but like you don't always think about the fact that just stress can like physically have an effect on your
yeah
your organs and your all the bits inside of you that are running around and everything. And like so when you have the stress of this actor, like it does add a lot of that plaque into your arteries and different things. And I think if he had continued, I think he would have been. I think he needed that time in between. I think his next roles after that maybe. I know he did some stuff after that, but like he needed to like do some stuff where he wears a big beard, where he plays he's wearing a cowboy hat in a western, like he needed to do some of those things that um that Frodo, he had to do to get out of the Lord of the Rings to like he had to play like a serial killer in this and this and this and this to put so many movies between him and playing Frodo that like people could believe him as an actor again as something else. And I think
same with
Gandolfini
Daniel
needed.
Radcliffe
So yeah,
for
same
Harry
exact
Potter.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
You just need some space. And it's like a lot of us that love all the Potter stuff, it's like, could you like maybe make another series where these guys are adult wizards? That would be super cool. And
yeah,
the
I
actors are
know.
like, yeah, we just like to not do that ever again. And then the rest
Right.
of them are like, no, but it was so amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Please come
I
back.
yeah, I mean that would be cool, but it's sort of like as a writer, I look at it like there are sort of arcs to stories and to things that happen, and it's you want to have it happen. Like I have some books I've read over the years that I wish there'd been a second big 5 book series or something. But if you ask the author, they're like, oh,
You're
I
like,
got
that's it.
nothing. I got nothing else for this guy. I can't write anymore for this guy. So
Yeah.
yeah, R.I.P. Gandolfini for sure.
Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah, one of the people I wanted to bring up, and I want to reiterate what we were sort of talking about at the beginning. Like, there's been so many of these kind of things over the years that we're not going to cover everybody today. We're kind of purposely, the one thing we did was talk before the pod is like let's avoid a few people just to like we just can't focus on the ones that everyone's heard of. We want to focus on some of the more character actors and big actors too. But just yeah. So I just wanted to say that because when our pod's done, it isn't like we're not going to talk about anyone else ever. It's like not
Yeah.
the only time we're going to talk about this. We're going to do other episodes,
Yeah.
part B, part C, but and we're going to talk about other people. But I did want to talk about maybe the biggest name on my list in terms of accolades or whatever was Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, I had him on my list as well.
Yeah, and again, it was a drug related thing, but and I don't care to really, I don't know about the details or anything, but he was just, he was one of my favorite actors.
Died at 46.
46, yeah, and he was just, and it wasn't like he was in a 2-year run or a 4-year run. He was just
Right.
like, when he finally was started to get some serious roles, he just grabbed the bowl and he was running with it for, like, I don't know, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm guessing it was probably at least a solid 12 straight years. And he was just like breaking into his prime, I think.
Yeah, yeah, he was just hitting that prime stride. Because like right before he died, he had a really big role in the Hunger Games films,
Right. Yeah.
and he like just got to the status where people were like, "Oh, I know who that is. That
Yeah.
guy."
And what was cool about in that particular role, was he Heavensby, Pluto Heavensby or
Yeah,
something like that?
Plutarch
Yeah.
Heavensby. Yeah,
Plutarch Heavensby. So, but like, goofy name. They all have to wear these goofy outfits and look weird, and it's a strange, odd story also. And but he was like both like uh, um he had charisma and he had this menacing part to him
yeah,
for a role that probably could have been played straight up, not particularly interesting.
yeah. Well, I think he had a very good grasp on menace.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was 2, 3, or 4, but he was the villain of one of the Mission Impossible movies too. 3, yeah, 3, and he kills that, and
Oh,
you're
when
like,
he does the menacing, you're like, oh,
whoa, yeah, you're
oh,
like, that's nuts. And then I'm not a huge fan of the director necessarily, but him and The Master. You ever seen The Master?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. Like
Oh yeah,
another like kind of menacing, kind of like
yeah,
okay. Like
yeah. That's
he
like, and
had
when he
such a
when
handle on the like the he had such a handle on the snap. The like I'm normal. I'm the like that
yeah.
like whoa.
Well, it's like the movie he was in called Doubt.
Oh yeah.
It's similar to it came out probably within like a 2-3 year window, but like again, it was like you could be soft, like all this articulate stuff written for him, and all of a
Which
sudden,
by
like
the way might have the best cast of all time. If you have
Doubt.
Viola Davis, Meryl Streep, and Philip Seymour Hoffman in one movie, that's just nuts.
Yeah. Well, I think Bale is a little overrated, but that's just me.
That is just
Meryl
you.
Streep is absolute.
You are alone in the woods on that one.
Yeah. Well, my part of the woods is right. So, no, but Meryl Streep is obviously like fantastic, whatever. But yeah, but their exchange back and forth in that film is absolutely just fire. And but that, it's funny because he even, I don't remember the name. I just breezed by his when I made sort of a real fast list because I didn't have much time today. And he did some movie, I think it was like Ben Stiller or something. He plays like his buddy in New York. And all I remember from this, there was one scene where they're playing basketball, and like Philip Seymour Hoffman is wearing like a tank top that's way too tight, and he's like a big ball, he's a kind of overweight guy, and
Yeah.
like he's
Yeah,
like
it's
trying to play, and he's
Tower Heist, I'm pretty sure.
no, 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 no. It wasn't that one. Well, it doesn't matter. But like he was playing basketball with them, and I remember he was missing every shot. And he would just fire it right off the backboard, and he would just scream. He would be like, "White lightning!" It was a tiny little scene in the film. But what I'm getting at is that, like, yeah, he's known for like this powerful like oratory and whatever, but like he had a great comedic timing also. Um, just underrated. Um, uh, and very, and again, going
Was
with
it
his
Along Came Polly?
that's the one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
Wow, his beard looks wild in that
yeah,
movie.
right, 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 right. And one of the great, again, an underrated, actually, it's an underknown film, was a movie called Charlie Wilson's War with
Yes.
Tom Hanks. Who else is in it? Tom Hanks, Julia Roberts, Philip Seymour Hoffman. But Philip Seymour Hoffman plays a CIA, like a station chief sort of a guy who's really gruff, and all of his lines are deadpan comedy, and it is such gold comedy. I think it's one of the most underrated comedic performances in the last 20 years.
Well, he's really
Yeah, oh, he plays a Greek. His game is Greek. He plays Gus Partenza or something like. No, Gus something. Um,
he's he had a really good handle on bouncing off comedically, but as a straight man. He was in Patch Adams with Robin Williams,
yeah.
and mixed reviews on that movie for some people, but the him in that movie, there's a lot of him bouncing off Robin Williams, and obviously Robin just goes, but like he has some really good moments in that film as well.
Yeah, and one of his last comedic films I'll mention was his little bit part in The Big Lebowski,
Oh, of
where he plays
course.
like a butler or an assistant or whatever it is to Mr. Lebowski, and like he's just like the whole time he just has this little like sort of meek presence, but like you could tell like he was able to even bring something to a character that's barely in the film. But it's it's a testament to him that he took a tiny little character and he like made it his own. What he says, the stuff he says is um comedic, but in sort of, and again, in a different kind of a way. And
Yeah,
it would have been fun to see over the years. Obviously, all the hard dramas and stuff would have been great. It would have been fun to see him in a few more of these like little comedic roles, or even bigger comedic roles, because he had that, like you said, he could bounce
yeah.
off like the professional
Well, and then
comedians
him
more.
him doing Truman Capote, like whoa,
Yeah, yeah,
nuts. The range that he had of comedy and drama and character work, but also being a lead guy, like just very interesting.
to cap him off on my end, if you want to see one of the saddest films you'll ever see, it's sort of weird because sometimes we want to see a movie that's a little sad. There's a movie called Love Liza
Okay.
where he plays a husband who is grieving the loss of his wife, and he actually gets into well, I don't want to spoil for people, but he gets into huffing gas as a
Wow.
release. Right. So for those that don't know, it's an actual thing. It just better to watch the movie. You don't need to research it. Just like but it's just a very very sad movie about a husband grieving for his wife, and it's about the husband carrying around a letter from his dead wife, and it's
Wow.
just a sad, and you just he takes you on that journey, and yeah, it's when you talked about Capote, like the range of someone that can do the comedy,
Yeah.
the fierce back and forth, and doubt, and the master, and then you have just the sad parts. I mean, that's why he's one of my favorites, and that's
Yeah.
like I think and we're going to talk about Robin Williams on another pod because he's such a giant that we need more time to talk about it. But when Robin passed, it was a huge thing for both me and I know for you. Philip Seymour Hoffman was like kind of a hair down from that, but it like hit me, and I was like, I was just being hit that I'm never gonna be a part of one of his films again,
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
that's where like they got you.
Yeah. It's 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 such a sad feeling. It's such a wild feeling. Um and the only other one that I had that I wanted to bring up was Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, he's a good one to end on,
Um cuz
because yeah,
he's interesting because he died at 51. So loads of time left, but also when he was alive, he was wheelchair bound at the end of his life because of his uh, horse accident. So there was kind of he's an interesting person to bring up, which is why I wanted to end on him because he kind of had two stages of what we're going through. Because the first stage was he became disabled, and he probably didn't get a lot of roles that he might have gotten had he not had that
a thousand percent
accident.
right, yeah,
And then, but still did acting, still did some acting in the wheelchair, not a lot, but still did some.
a little bit,
And
yeah.
then he actually passed away, and like so, it's just um Superman, obviously he's synonymous with the role. It like who knows what he would have done after. I don't know if he would have done anything. Maybe not. But like uh so iconic. So
Yeah,
like,
well, it kind of puts the, um, that 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 perspective of we talked a bit about the actors who like they take a certain drug or something, but like it brings a reality to these actors also in that here's a guy who made one of the biggest movies that's ever been made, iconic role. He could have done nothing, the rest of his life. I'm talking, in a parallel universe.
yeah,
And then an accident happens to him that could happen to any person, like a car accident. In his case, it was a horse jumping accident. Um, but like, but it just sort of like smacks you in the face of like, oh, this is a real thing. We are mortal and we'll shuffle off the mortal coil at some point. And it's it's so harsh to be slapped in the face with that reality. When people heard, wait, of every person, Superman is the guy that like is wheelchair bound. There's some weird like cosmic irony lesson to be learned or something. And
yeah,
uh it's sad, but on the flip side, he used his accident and everything that happened to him to raise awareness and to raise a lot of money, and I think um you know it's like turning something that obviously is a tragedy on its face. He turned it into something that was positive in a way,
yeah,
and that's all we can do if the death of Philip Seymour Hoffman you know will affect another young actor to not go that route, or the death of a Farley convinces some other comedian to, when they hit the green room, to not hit whatever it is everyone else is hitting, or bumping some stuff. And like, so you have to look at like the positive, like then maybe if that
yeah,
didn't happen, it would have happened to somebody else. And so they're helping people in a way, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So
That's true.
sometimes that's all we can take from, and what we can take from it is the moments and memories that they gave us along the way. It's like when if you were to lose a sibling at a young age, but you have all those great memories with them. It's like, yeah, it's tragic you didn't get the rest of your life with them, but you got those years, and that's what you have to hold on to and celebrate. And and I think that's what we do when we watch these films again. And you and I, we love just going back and watching films we've seen forever to kind of just remember and celebrate what we got out of it the first time. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Before we wrap up, um, typically we like to talk about something that we either just watched or um, are excited to watch coming up. Before we do that, if you're new to the pod, hello. Thanks for being here. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, the follow button if you're elsewhere. Um, we're approaching 100 subscribers on YouTube, so that's pretty cool. I think we're about 12 shy, so that's pretty dope. Um, and yeah, thanks for watching. What's something that you've been watching, or something that you're excited to watch coming up?
Well, and I was trying to think, like, nothing really comes to mind of what I had been watching. I've been so busy lately. For those that don't follow me on my own Twitter account and other things, I'm working on building I built a house, and now I'm working on some of the stuff that goes with that. And
And what is your handle for people to find you if they?
based underscore Jedi. That's on X. And but no, I just literally I've been working till dark, which is 8:15, and then I get home and I like fall asleep in a nap for a half hour. I wake up, I'm all groggy, and I'm like looking around. I gotta make some food and I gotta thaw some stuff out. And by the time I make food and everything else, I'm like groggy again. Or I like get like, and then I'm like, and I'm one of the few I'm in the minority who I'm not affected by caffeine. So coffee, like soda, tea, I love the taste of all that, but it doesn't affect me at all. So
That's so
I can,
wild.
yeah, I can guzzle a whole bunch of like Pepsis, fall dead asleep. And I'm not a big sleeper. I don't fall asleep easily, but caffeine doesn't affect me. So I just wish it did, so I could like guzzle a bunch and do some stuff. So anyway, at night I've been like, oh, I'll watch a movie, and then I put it on. I'm like, drink, and I'm out. So I'm a little low on movies. What have you been on lately?
I just watched. I'm in the middle of the second to last episode, but I've been watching the last season of Jack Ryan.
Oh yeah,
Um, there's a
yeah.
movie that comes out this month, and then they're
Is it
done,
is
which
it
is
come it
sad.
comes out in
Yeah,
May or
this
is it?
this this
Oh,
month in May, end
okay.
of the month on Amazon.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, maybe we can do a pod for the folks in a week, maybe a couple weeks, and
that'd
we'll
be
talk
cool.
about
We should
Jack Ryan.
do a Jack Ryan pod and maybe talk about other iterations of the character,
Well,
like
that's what I'm
throughout.
talking about. All the
Yeah,
movies, yeah, and then we'll either we'll do it after we both watch the movie, or I don't know. Yeah, we'll figure out how we're gonna do it. But yeah, we'll do
cool,
a Jack Ryan as the character in the
cool.
movies and TV, and that'll be a lot of fun. So
Love that. But yeah,
yeah,
I've been watching that. I had a lot of
cool,
fun with that. And
great,
then
great.
this month also Mandalorian and Grogu comes out, so I'm pretty
Yeah,
hyped to go see that.
yeah. Oh, you know what I did? I did fall asleep too the other night. I watched Solo, the
Nice.
and
Yeah.
again I maintain out of
It's a
all the
good movie.
it's a great movie, and Glover, who I sort of I kind of slammed a little bit the last one, but like he when he's on his game in a character, he's so good. And um Woody Harrelson, like everyone's Andy Newton, there's so many great character actors in that.
Yeah.
um that I hope out of all the Star Wars, and I know some of it's been nonsense and there's been some woke stuff or whatever, but out of all of it, that's the one I feel like they really like got spot on, and
Yeah.
it made money. They just didn't make $1 zillion for him, so they didn't make a sequel. I'm like, make a sequel with him and Calrissian. That'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be dope.
Them as a buddy movie would be so good.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'd
so
watch it.
I don't know if it's gonna happen. They'll be like, "Oh, we're gonna make a TV episode." I'm like, just make another movie. Stop with the TV stuff. Just make another movie.
Make another movie, bring all the bounty hunters you could ever bring and just have it
Oh yes,
like
yes.
yeah, Cad Bane, Embo, Zuckus,
Ah,
Forlom, Bosk, uh, just all of them. Just
oh
bring them
yeah,
all.
that would be
I
such a fun.
like
And they'll
it.
be like, "We want to make it on TV a series." I'm like, and it could be good, and I get that. Instead of trying to span it out and having episodes that are 25 minutes and then 45,
Yeah.
just spend all your money and effort into a good storyline. And we just want, like, Solo is just adventure, fun, romance. It's just a great mix of everything. Do another one of those.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that being said,
Yep.
this has been another episode of the Great Movie Pod. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode. Peace.